Hi everyone, I'm Jim Gray, and I'd like to welcome you to this video 11 of iRecover educational series. So this video is about working your personal program, not somebody else's program, but your program. We need to practice the skills, the behavior, the knowledge that you learned here at the treatment center. You know, it's said that the dog that is fed is a dog that wins. So what that means is that whatever you decide to do in your program, and as long as you do the good part of your program, that's the part of your program that's going to work. We'll discuss the 4 parts of working your personal program. They are understanding what's going on around you, avoiding dangerous situations, not going where you shouldn't be, pay attention to where you're at and everything around you. Practice what works for you and keep doing it. Understanding, if you're going to be good at anything, we need to understand how it works and what the problems are. You know, I'm into flying, and in aviation, you can't just get in the plane and start flying and doing IFR and flying in clouds and all this stuff without understanding the plane. First of all, they make you understand how the flow, the air goes over the wings and how the propeller goes and how your RPM is related to your manifold pressure and all this stuff. Which really, when you're flying, you think, you know, why do I need to know that? But when you're in the cockpit and all of a sudden your RPM drops and your manifold pressure drops and your wing drops, you got a problem. And what you want to know is what to do if you have that problem. And it's just the same with us. If you keep working your program, as time goes on, you'll understand, you'll intuitively know what to do with whatever problem you have, or you'll know who to talk to or how to find the answer. We need to understand what our personal solution is. You know, we have to tailor our program to us, to our problems. You know, we have to do stuff like avoid dangerous places. You know, you should be fully aware of what places you need to avoid. It can be a local area, a pharmacy, a bar, events, whatever's dangerous to you personally and can jeopardize your sobriety. You know, it might not jeopardize somebody else, but if it's a problem with you, don't go there. This can also be dangerous headspaces when you allow yourself to fall back into stinking thinking. And that's more about isolating and thinking about, you know, the solution. Well, if your brain got you into this problem, it sure the hell can't get you out. This also includes people we associate with. It can be dangerous. They can be really dangerous to our sobriety. You know, people that get into trouble all the time, we're going to follow suit. So why do it? You know, there's all kinds of dangerous places and dangerous people. When I first come into sobriety, there was 3 or 4 of us, and we'd go to this dance every night. We thought, well, this is great. We're clean and sober. We can go there and we'll get all the women, of course, because we're the clean and sober. And yet, after a few times of going there drinking Coke and watching all these assholes perform like I used to perform, all of a sudden it wasn't a place I wanted to be. You know, but the 2 or 3 of us went, 2 of them hung in there and started drinking, and I left. So that's what happens. I'd like you to make a list, and you know, of personal places, dangerous places that you need to avoid, and people you need to avoid. It might be an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend. It could be anything that really triggers you. So if you know there's somewhere in there, pay attention to your surroundings and your thinking. Don't get sucked into that old way of thinking, because if you think the old way, you're going to do the same thing. What is the first thought you had when you relapsed the last time? Be aware where your thinking is going in order to avoid falling back and finding yourself in a position that led you to relapse last time. Why do the same thing? Practice. That old Army motto that you fight the way you train rings true here. You know, if you train yourself to stay clean and sober, you're going to stay clean and sober. What you practice is what you'll succeed at. Practice reframing the way you think. Practice questioning your thoughts all the time. You know, when I first come in here, I'd go to motive. It was motive that always, you know, what's my motive for what I'm doing? So if you can go to your motive, practice what you're thinking, look at your motive, you'll be doing fine. Instead of being self-centered, reframe your thought to reflect the reality of a situation. Because so often it's not about self. In fact, it's never about self. It's about other people. Get out of yourself. You know, when doing this, be aware of where old ways of thinking, how it made you feel, and where it led you. Because if you think like you used to think, you're going to end up in the same situation. You know, it goes back to that idea of doing the same thing and expecting different results. So be careful. Think about your thinking. You know, that kind of sounds silly, but you have to go inside. I used to go to motive. You know, what's my motive for doing something? I remember one time I was in this restaurant and I was there and this is how in early sobriety, how deeply I had to go in there. I had to say to myself, am I hungry? Is that why I'm in the restaurant? Or am I there hitting on the waitress? What's my motive? And if it was to eat, I was in the right place. If it was to hit on the waitress, I was in the wrong place. And that's how I had to do stuff in early sobriety. And that's what you have to do. Because you're not going to get this sobriety for a lifetime without doing it one day at a time. So take your time in this stuff. Think about what's my motive here, what the situation is, where it took me before, and do I want to go there again? You know, they talk about playing the movie to the end here. So when you're thinking about something, play the situation to the end. If I'm going in that bar for the wrong reason, what's going to happen? Well, if you think about it, what's going to happen is you're going to drink. So think of a situation where you had an emotional response, but were able to change the way you look at the situation, and you're able to change the way you're thinking about it. You know, take a typical thing, a cop stopping you when you're speeding, and we got this emotional response. I'm going to outrun that guy, I want to shoot that guy. I don't know if you guys had those thoughts, but I know I did. But nowadays, when they stop me, you know what I say to myself? I say, I must have been going too fast. What a concept. You know, you just change your way of thinking, and the results really do change. So make sure you have things to do for fun that get you out of your stinking thinking mindset. No, when I was drinking, I thought everything I did was fun. But I understand now that when I was drinking, somebody was paying the piper. It wasn't me. So in the end, it wasn't fun. When I look back at those fun times, somebody was paying the piper. Whether it was my children or the court or the police or whoever it was always somebody. So today, I like to do something that's fun. And I reach back to my childhood and do stuff like riding a bike or whistling or something that was fun then. Or go to a movie, put on a comedy channel. I don't have to get stuck on Fox News or CNN or anything else. I can put on a comedy channel today. And if it makes me laugh, if it brings joy here, then it's going to bring joy to people around me. So make sure you have a group of people or a sponsor around that you can reach out to, but reach out to them all the time. Not just when you need them. You know, they're going to become your best friend. You might not see them every day, but when you do see them, you're glad to see them. Now, I had such an awesome sponsor. His name was Sid, an old cowboy. And he used to tell me homey stuff like don't kick a cold turd. And I said, what the hell does that mean, don't kick a cold turd? Well, what he was getting at is when you kick a cold turd, the smell, you can't control where the smell goes. And what he's referring to is don't criticize other people in the group, because if you do, you can't control where all that's going. So all that old wisdom, and you can get that from a sponsor, but the thing is here, you need to trust. You need to trust these guys that have been around for 20 or 30 years, that they're not going to lead you down a bad road. They might not be exactly what you want to be, but they have so much knowledge. Give them a chance. No, not that I listen to everything Sid said, because, Sid would say other stuff like, to get lucky at an AA meeting meant going home alone. And I never paid attention to that one, and that's one you should pay attention to. So thanks for sticking in here and listening to this video, Working Your Personal Program. It's so important that it's your personal program. I'm Jim Gray. This is the end of video 11. Hope to see you down the road at video 12.